I will start also by thanking the Danish presidency, Denmark, your entire teams for a very efficient collaboration during your mandate and as president. And I can refer here also to the education and skills dimension and also to labor and social affairs dimension, where we focused on what really matters for our citizens. I will also briefly emphasize a number of topics that were approached and discussed today and adopted today in the Council. Of course, first and foremost was mentioned here health and safety of workers. Minister mentioned the directive, the general approach on the directive on the 6th revision of the carcinogens, mutagens and reprotoxic substances. Now, this is an initiative that will deliver health on the one side, health for workers, and then also we are looking at how it will also save money in our healthcare systems. Our scenarios, our estimates show that with the adoption of this revision of the directive, it will prevent 1,700 cases of lung cancer, as well as 19,000 cases of other work-related diseases over the course of the next 40 years. So this is a very concrete health outcome. Also, it will bring savings of up to 1.1 billion euros in healthcare costs. So looking at the importance of our health and safety European acquis legislation, I can only congratulate the Danish presidency for emphasizing the right dimension of our work on protecting our labor force. I will also mention the second general approach, the second legislative element that was discussed today. This is the EGF, European Globalisation Fund brief, as we call it, the amendment on the regulation of the European Globalisation Fund for displaced workers. This is a new proposal. Presidency moved very fast, also previous with the Polish colleagues. We proposed it after we started our discussions, our strategic dialogues with automotive, with steel. As Commissioner for Jobs, I was part of this dialogue with my colleagues in the College of Commissioners, and one of the responses we delivered in looking at the changes, the restructuring that are happening in these industries is making sure that EGF is going to be able to protect workers and ensure a job-to-job transition, or ensure support for workers in imminent risk of being fired due to restructuring processes much quicker, much faster. So the amendment that was adopted today does offer to workers that are in risk of being fired due to transitions in their and restructuring in their companies, offers them support sooner, the moment that they know that the job that they will lose the jobs due to restructuring. So this is gaining time. And I think that it's of key importance that we were able to adopt this amendment in the sense of course, also making it agile. Then, two debates that I would mention. The one on simplification, very interesting debate with all member states discussing about how we can enforce rules in our social affairs agenda and EU social agenda, how we can simplify, how we can better implement rules in labor, in all this ecosystem. What was important is that nobody called for deregulation. Of course, ministers mentioned the need to reduce administrative burden, to make it simpler for companies to do business in Europe. But nobody asked for the lowering of social standards or for any compromises on social standards. And this takeaway I take with me. There were a number of discussions. I, for one, also put in discussion the digitalization as a tool to help simplify. We will, for example, propose for mobile workers the ESPASS, the European Social Security Pass, as part of the Fair Labour Mobility Package that will be presented next year, as a digital tool to make it much simpler for companies, national administrations, to check the situation, protections, contracts of workers, but also easier for workers because they are better protected through a digital tool. But digitalization is one side of how member states discussed about simplification. Collective bargaining and social dialogue was also mentioned in the sense that, of course, social partners are able to deliver rules and frameworks that are very fit for the needs of the sectors that they represent. The strengthening of European Labour Authority to do joint inspections, for example, with national labour inspectorates. So capacity in institutions was also mentioned so that we better enforce. For me, it was very important that the Danish presidency proposed this topic in the debate with member states. I had an implementation dialogue as well earlier this year, so I have two different type of engagements with key stakeholders in the European Union that tell us how we need to approach the simplification process in our social agenda and in our social topics and legislation. And again, I repeat, it's about reducing burden, it's about better enforcement, it's about capacity, it is not about lowering social standards, and there is support for our European social model. Then another important topic, very practical and for me a very relevant topic put forward was the fair recruitment. The discussion about a fair labour mobility, as I said, will be approached next year with the package that we will present. Fair recruitment, how we look at the situations of third country nationals that come to Europe, and many times they are they become socially exploited and abused. We talk about social dumping in many cases. I have discussed with truck drivers from Uzbekistan to Ukraine, from India to East European countries that are in different situations in Europe working as mobile workers. So discussions about methods that we can make sure that we have a level playing field between companies, that we have protections for workers, including those that come from outside Europe, because there is a shortage and they are needed. These were very important discussions, and I think they will feed very well on our Fair Labour Mobility Package next year. I remind what the Fair Labour Mobility Package will include: strengthening the European Labour Authority, the ESPASS digital tool, the Skills Portability Initiative, looking at subcontracting, long subcontracting chains, and what we can do to look there at the situation of workers that are potentially not protected. These are some of the topics that we have in mind and we will be working on. And in the end, I just brief mention the semester was mentioned here, very important, the coordination of our fiscal, economic, social policies, EU, member states, regional level. A lot was discussed about how we need to use the semester so that we align our priorities for delivering on housing. This was a key topic. I know how important it is for Denmark as well. It is for the EU. Next week we present the affordable housing plan. It will have components related to my portfolio as well. I work with Dan Jorgensen. I contribute on the homelessness initiatives, on social housing, student housing as well. So this was a topic that showed that semester helps to coordinate our efforts. Social services, how we invest European Social Fund Plus, this semester is really relevant. Plus that it will help clearly how we shape the next MFF and then plans that member states, each 27, will propose for their cohesion, agriculture investments, social investments including. So, rich, efficient, important topics. Thank you so much.
Thank you.